Yeah, hi friends, my name is Philip Chandan and welcome back to the channel Energy and Environment Education. Friends, this is chapter 2.2 boilers and part D. Actually, I have broken the entire chapter in different parts. So I have already uploaded videos on part A, part B and part C, and this is a part D. All videos are equally important, and you can see you can go through all the different videos that I have uploaded, and this will help you to prepare your exam, as I said in other videos also. Likewise, if you're preparing for the energy auditors exam or major exams, all these different videos that I'm posting here on this channel is equally important for you friends. So please, if you have missed all those videos, the other videos on different chapters also I have made and posted on this channel. So if you have missed those videos and also the different parts A, B, C of this particular chapter also, if you have missed the videos, you can go through those videos first of all and then come back to the part D, that is the chapter 2.2 boilers friends. So let's start the videos today, and again I'm just requesting you, if you have not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe my channel. Also, if you like the content of the video and the presentation, please do like the and also comment. This will help me to understand your feedback, your inputs in a better way, such that I can prepare my video in a more better way for you friends in coming days. So please do like my videos if you feel it's really worthwhile for you, and also please do share among your colleagues, and also please do not forget to subscribe the channel friends. This will motivate me to prepare more such videos in coming days friends. So let's start the video for today, and hopefully this video also is going to help you out in your exam preparation friends. So the content of the video today is boilers water treatment, which is very much important for you to understand. Also concept is also important for you to understand friends. And as far as exam is concerned, this is very much important part of the chapter where you can expect a lot of questions, different type of questions in the exam from this part of the chapter friends. So let's see the boiler water treatment portion of the chapter friends. So coming to the boiler water treatment, friends, you should understand one thing. The boiler's water treatment is very much important because ultimately you want to have a better steam quality. Producing quality steam on demand is very much important, and for that you need to manage the water that you are feeding inside the boiler, and for that you need to have a better water treatment for control of the steam purity, deposits, and corrosion, friends. So ultimately, what is important is the water that you are feeding inside the boiler has to be treated in such a way that you have a better efficiency of the boiler, better performance of the boiler, and also you can see the steam quality will increase with that, and you can have a better service life of the concerned boiler friends. So feeding the water inside the boiler, the quality of water that you are feeding inside the boiler is very much important concern, and this is very much important concept also that you must understand for exam also friends. Is very much important. When feed water enters the boiler, the elevated temperature and pressure causes the components of water to behave differently. Most of the components in the feed water are soluble. However, under heat and pressure, most of the soluble components come out of the solution as particulate solids, sometimes in crystallized forms and other times as amorphous particles. When solubility of a specific component in water is exceeded, scales or deposits develop. So basically what happens, you can understand in a very simple and concept way. I mean, what happens when you boil a water, the water evaporates, components, and the all the deposits that is left behind inside the chamber wherever water is getting boiled. That is the that forms the sort of, you can say, as deposit is formed as a meter there, and those creates problem in future friends. So what you need to do is you have to keep the water as pure as possible, such that there is no such deposits inside the chamber of the boiler. The boiler water must be sufficiently free of deposit forming solids to allow rapid and efficient heat transfer, and it must not be corrosive to the boiler metal. So if the water quality of water that you are feeding inside the boiler is good, in that case what happens, you'll have less deposits, and there will less scale formation, and also this will not have a corrosion effect on the boiler metal friends. So that's why I'm saying this is much very much important as a concept concerned. That is, you should have a better quality of water that you're feeding inside the boiler to have a boiler performance, better boiler performance, better efficiency, better service life, and also there is no scale formation or deposits formation inside the boiler chamber after the boiler water gets evaporated, and also any corrosion will not take place inside the boiler metal. So all these concepts you must understand, entire properties you must understand, and this thing can be helpful for you to understand and write when you ask in the examination why water treatment of the boiler is important, friends. This type of question you can consider, you can expect in the exam also, friends. So as I said in the last slide, you need to understand that water quality is very much important, and for that, why it is important, because the deposits or scale formation is avoided if it is water quality is good enough. So the deposit control that you are having here is also need to be understood and need to be controlled how much deposit it is having after the water gets evaporated. Deposits in boiler may result from hardness contamination of feed water and corrosion products from the condensate and feed water system. Hardness contamination of the feed water may arise due to deficient softener system. I mean, if the softener system is not efficient enough, in that case, what happens? It will not, soften the water. In that case, there will be hardness in the water, and this will result in the deposit formation inside the boiler chamber, friends, once the water is evaporated. So ultimately, what you need to understand here, the concept is you need to have the water quality in a better way. That's what I said in the last slide. Also, you have to proper, efficient softener system you should have, such that the water, is more pure, and in that case, less deposits are there in the boiler chamber, and also hardness is controlled, friends. So these things are very much important. So deposit control is very much important for boiler operation, and deposition and corrosion result in efficiency losses. So if you want to have a better efficiency of the boiler, you need to control the deposits and the corrosion. So if you have better quality of the water, you will have less deposits and less corrosion effect inside the boiler, friends. And also it results in the boiler tube failures and inability to produce steam. So if you have the hard water is hard enough and it's not pure enough, it's not softened properly, efficiently by the efficient softener, in that case what happens, the deposits and corrosion, it results in efficiency losses and also results in boiler tube failures and inability to produce steam, friends. So all these things are the aspects you should understand, and also the insulating effect of the deposit causes the boiler metal temperature to rise and may lead to tube failure by overheating. So these things are need to understand, because you have to understand one thing, that you have to control the deposit as much as possible, so that you have a better system, better boiler efficiency, better performance of the boiler, less corrosion effect is happening then, and also there will no insulating effect of the deposits, which will cause the boiler metal temperature to rise and may lead to tube failure by the overheating. So all these things will be controlled once you control the deposit formation, friends. In the exam also, friends, you can expect to have some question like, suppose, what is the effect of presence of silica in boiler water? So this is all type of question that you can expect in the exam, and in that case you have to write it down, what is the effect of silica in boiler water. The presence of silica in boiler water can rise to formation of hard silicate scale. So basically what happens, the scale formation is happening here with the presence of silica in boiler, and this is what explained here. It can also associate with calcium and magnesium salts, forming calcium and magnesium silicates of very low thermal conductivity. Silica can give rise to deposits on steam turbine blades after being carried over either in droplets of water in steam or in volatile matter. So basically what is happening here, you need to understand one thing, there should be less presence of silica in the boiler water. The water you are feeding inside the boiler should have less presence of silica, otherwise what will happen, it will lead to the silicate scales formation, and this will really hamper the, you can say, the boiler efficiency will be lowered down, and also uh, performance of the boiler will be low in that case, friends. So silica can give rise to deposits on steam turbine blade. Also, this is also a drawback, that the steam turbine, if you are generating steam and you are running the turbine, in that case, also turbine blades will have more silica deposits, and after being carried over either in droplets of water and steam or in volatiles from higher pressures, and this will lead to low efficiency of the turbine also, friends. So you can see here the boiler performance, you can also the turbine also have a lower efficiency or performance once there is a presence of silica in the boiler water that you are feeding inside the boiler, friends. So you should have the lower, or you can say as minimum as possible, the silica content inside the water feeding water boiler. So now let's understand the water treatment process, friends. Basically, the water you are using inside the boiler has to be treated in a proper manner, such that the less silica, or you can say less scaling is formed, less deposits are formed. For that, you need to have two types of treatment. That is, one is the internal water treatment, and other one is the external water treatment. So let's understand first of all the internal water treatment. Internal treatment is carried out by adding chemicals to boiler to prevent the formation of scale by converting the scale forming compounds to free flowing sludges which can be removed by the blowdown. So it's done inside the boiler, it's not done externally. So inside the boiler only you add some chemicals, and with that chemicals what happens, the all the scale that is formed or any deposit that is formed is separated out, and this can be removed by the blowdown process. It's a very easy process, you can say, very effective process, you can say. This method is limited to boilers where feed water is low in hardness salts or to low pressures, high TDS content in boiler water is tolerated, and when only small quantity of water is required to be treated. Now only one limitation is there with this process, although this process is good, process is effective, but when you are using chemicals, one thing you need to understand, there is some limitations to it, to using this type of process. Basically, where feeding water is low in hardness salts, that is one aspect that you need to understand, you need to consider. Also, you can see the TDS content, high TDS content in boiler water is tolerated, and only small quantity of water is required to be treated. If you are using this type of chemicals for the treatment internally, you should have a small quantity of water that has to be treated. If you are using high amount of water, then maybe this process may not be effective enough. If these conditions are not applied, then high rates of blowdown are required to dispose of the sludge. They become uneconomical for from heat and water loss consideration, because see, ultimately what you are doing is you're separating the deposits or the sludge or whatever you call scale formed inside the boiler. So when once you are separating it, that has to be blown down, that has to be removed from the boiler. Now it has to be also limitation, there should be some limitation of the blow down. If you're performing high blow down, if you're having high amount of water you're using, then more amount of sludge will be formed, and this means more blow downs will be done to remove the sludges. In that case, the number of blow down if you increase, this will really impact your boiler performance also, and also it won't be it will not be so economical enough from friends. So basically what is, if consider that you should have the low water content. When you have low water content, that time only you use this type of treatment process with the chemicals, and this will require only small, or you can say low, or the number of blowdowns will be limited, friends. I mean, less blowdown will be required in that case, and this will not hamper the performance of the boiler. Also, it will be economical enough for you, friends. So also one more thing is important here: different waters require different chemicals. That has also to be considered or kept in mind. Sodium carbonate, sodium aluminate, sodium phosphate, all these are different, different chemicals, and the compounds of vegetable and or inorganic organisms are also used for this purpose. So these are different chemicals which are used for different type of waters, and this is also important for you to understand, friends. So first part I have explained you. Now we'll go to the other part, that is external water treatment, friends. So internal water treatment, I hope you must have understood by now. So considering the external water treatment is used to remove solids, suspended solids, dissolved solids, particularly calcium and magnesium ions, which are major causes of scale formation, and dissolved gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. So as you see the name itself, the internal water treatment was done inside the boiler with using the chemicals which is used to separate the sludges or the deposits inside the boiler, or corrosion inside the boiler, friends. And external water treatment, this means you are treating the water externally, not inside the boiler. Externally, you are using different processes like the ion exchange process there, or demineralization process there, reverse osmosis is there, de-aeration process there. So the different processes are there which is used to treat the water externally before it is fed inside the boiler. So these are the different processes which are given, which you must understand. Also a bit of explanation is required here. Briefly they may ask you to explain different type of processes which are used externally, or external treatment of water is done by those processes. So these things you must understand, names you must understand, also the short description on these processes also is required for you to understand and to remember, friends, because in exam they may ask you to briefly explain the ion exchange process, or reverse osmosis process, or de-aeration process. So you may be asked to explain this briefly in a short answer type question or a part of long answer type question, friends. It's very important for you to understand. And as far as the process concerned, so this is the external water treatment process, and that was the internal water treatment process, friends. So coming to the different types of processes which are external water treatment processes. One is the ion exchange process or softener plant process. So in this process I am not going to explain you everything here. It's already given in the detail, or explained in detail here. You can just go through it. But one thing I will just add here, that this particular equation is very much important for you to understand. Whenever this explanation is required, you should also give the explanation in the terms of chemical process that is going on here. the softening process or the regeneration reaction process, friends. This reaction is very much important for you to understand, and this comes in the exam also, and otherwise they may ask you to briefly explain this process. So all the explanation is given here, so I'm not explaining it here in detail, but you can go through and understand yourself, friends. It's very easy to understand, and also remember this particular equation or the reaction, friends. The second process of the external water treatment is the deaeration. You can understand here by the term, by the word itself, it is deaeration. This means removal of the oxygen, or can say the removal of the any air from the water. That is what's happening here. In deaeration process, dissolved gases such as oxygen and carbon dioxide are expelled by preheating the feed water before it enters the boiler. So what you are doing here, basically you are preheating the water, the feed water that you are feeding inside the boiler. You are preheating it, and to remove it, the remove the any gases which is dissolved like oxygen or carbon dioxide inside the water, friends. So that process is called the deaeration process. All reservoir waters contain dissolved gases in solution that certain gases such as carbon dioxide and oxygen greatly increase corrosion, and for that only you need to preheat the water such that this type of gases which are dissolved inside the water comes out, or you can say expelled out, friends. This is the process of deaeration, friends, and it's very easy to understand. Now, even the deaeration process has two parts, basically two processes, you can say, the mechanical and the chemical deaeration processes. So I won't explain everything here again about the mechanical and the chemical deaeration processes, but just to give you a bit of insight, basically what's happening here. In the case of mechanical deaeration process, you have two types, basically vacuum type and the pressure type. In the vacuum type, what you are using the vacuum pumps or steam ejectors are required to maintain the vacuum, and in that case, you basically eject the, so you can say, eliminate the oxygen content inside the water. So with the help of vacuum pumps, you can say, or the steam injectors, you are using it to reduce the oxygen content inside the water. That's the process of mechanical deaeration using the vacuum pumps. And also you can see the pressure type deaerators also used. In this case, what's happening here, by allowing the steam into the feed water through a pressure control valve to maintain the desired operating pressure and hence temperature at a minimum of 105 degrees centigrade. The steam raises the water temperature, causing the release of oxygen and carbon dioxide gases that are then vented from the system. So basically what's happening here, you're using here the steam to deaerate the water. So you are using the steam which is fed inside the water, in or the feed water, you can say, and with this steam the temperature rises, and this causes the release of oxygen and carbon dioxide from the water content, friends. So this way you are expelling the oxygen and carbon dioxide. So basically mechanical deaeration process has two types, the vacuum type and the pressure type, and both these processes are explained here, so you can just go through. So once they ask you to explain the mechanical, or you can say they can ask you directly to explain the deaeration process and the two types of deaeration process. So in the last slide I have explained you about the deaeration process. Now coming to the deaeration process, you have two types, mechanical deaeration process and the chemical deaeration process. Now when you explain the mechanical deaeration process, you have two types, the vacuum type and the pressure types. This thing has to be remembered when you explain the entire mechanical deaeration process, friends, in exam. So this is the chemical deaeration process. The other one was the mechanical deaeration process, which I have explained you in earlier slides. Now this is the chemical deaeration process, as the name suggests, or you can easily understand what is all about. It is the deaeration of the water with the help of chemicals. So you're using chemicals here to deaerate the water, or you can say you're using chemicals to expel the gases contained or any gases contained inside the water, friends. So this is the entire process explained here. I'm not going to explain you in detail here, but you can understand by going through this entire part, and it's very easy to understand. So what the chemicals that is used for the deaeration, that also has to be remembered for exam point of view, and this thing entire explanation has to be also understood. While the most efficient mechanical deaerators reduce oxygen to very low levels, even trace amount of oxygen may cause corrosion damage to your system, and for that reason you are using chemical deaeration to expel any amount of oxygen or left inside the water, friends. So what it is, what is remained here, any, see, with the help of mechanical deaerators, most of the oxygen parts, oxygen content inside the water is expelled out, but even trace amount, if it is left, that can cause some corrosion inside the boiler, and for that this process is very much important. So chemical deaeration process has one more advantages, you can say, or you can say importance, you can say, why the chemical deaeration process is used, because to remove even the trace amount of oxygen from the water content, friends. So that's all for today, friends. This is part D, and I have concluded the part D, but even more videos are remaining to be uploaded. And I have also made a video on part E, friends, which is also equally important for you to understand as far as exam is concerned, and also the concepts which I'm going to give you in part E also are useful enough for the exam point of view, friends. So that's all the end of the part D. please be connected with me, and also you know watch other videos which I have uploaded other than this series of boiler part. Friends, I have uploaded different videos on different chapters that also you can go through, and please be connected with me to see the other videos in coming days, friends. So I'm going to upload the part E now. This is the end of the part D, friends. Please do subscribe my channel if not yet, and also I would like to connect with you. If you have any queries, if you have any doubts, if you have, so you can connect with me. You can write me down on this mail ID, on this email, you can message me on this number, friends. Please do connect with me, and this will help you out also and help me also accordingly. So if you have any queries that can be resolved, any doubts, if you have any inputs, any feedbacks, if you have, you can straight away write to me on this email ID, on this mobile number. And also please do subscribe my channel as I requested earlier also, because really this is going to motivate me for preparing more such videos in coming days and upload you in this channel, friends. So keep watching this channel, because I'm going to upload a lot of more videos, not only in this about this series of chapters for the Bureau of Energy Efficiency exam, but also I'm going to explain you different aspects of sustainability, or about and different policies, government policies and norms, what is applicable. And also on energy and environment section I'm going to explain and upload a lot of videos in coming days, friends. So be connected with me for these videos. I hope these videos will help you to shape your career, also to encourage you to take this career steps also in coming days, friends. So please be connected with me. If you have any queries, if you have any doubts, do write to me. Do talk to me if you have any queries. And also please subscribe my channel, and also please press the bell icon so that you get the instant notification as soon as I post a new video in the coming days, friends. So that's all for today. I hope this video is helping you or help you out in exam preparation, or your better understanding, or developing your concept, friends. So that's all for today, and we'll again meet in another video in coming days, friends.